Hey y'all, happy Saturday, cheers. It's your boy Javier, y'all know who I am. I hope you guys are having a good Saturday. I apologize for the delay on this episode. Man, today I went to a Black Lives Matter protest, or it wasn't actually a protest, it was more like a memorial type of thing, for loved ones to speak out about injustice in their families. So my hat goes off to you guys. Matter of fact, let me grab it. I got a rose from it. Let me show you guys. 1 second. Show you all a couple of things. Give me 1 second. Okay, my people, I appreciate your patience. All right. Okay. I apologize about that, y'all. I apologize. Sorry, I had to grab what I needed. I need to come more better prepared. I know. I'm sorry, y'all. But it was this pamphlet they gave me. It's for the Andrew Joseph Foundation. I'll read it to you guys. I'll read to you guys the whole thing. If your 14-year-old child was removed from a school-sponsored event, would you want to know? And then it says, in 2014, Andrew Joseph III, at 14 years old, was removed from the Florida State Fair during Student Day. At night, on the side of I-4, his parents were not called by the sheriff's deputies that removed him, and he was tragically struck and killed by a driver. Nobody was charged. 6 years later, and the family is still looking for accountability. Make sure you guys go check it out. It's AndrewJosephFoundation.com, and then use the hashtag TeamPeeWee. And then there's the Movement Coalition presents Don't Forget Us, Say Their Names, honoring the lives stolen by police brutality and racial injustice. And then it has the movement coalitions. And then on the back it says, say their names. Don't let the fire burn out, because what happens is when we've settled down, they settle down and they sweep all of us under the rug. We can't let them sweep it under the rug. We have to keep saying our loved one's name. We have to keep our fire burning. We have to keep the fire to the feet of the legislators. Gwen Carr. And then it says, obviously, things on the back. Other things on the back as well. I hope it's not too close. And then inside, they give names. And these are just some to name a few. You guys can check out the Analytical Eye Show, as well as all Power to the People, and my Facebook or my Instagram, the Instagram pages for these, and the Facebook pages for these, as well as the Twitter pages for these. If you guys want to see all the names and stuff like that, I took videos there as well, along with other as well. We did a lot there. Tomorrow I'll be posting more photos as well of the signs that we made in regards to it. And one thing I will say that people probably I don't know if you guys know, but I know. I didn't know, but I didn't know that Huey Newton was a doctor. He got his doctorates in I think it was social psychology from one of my the people that I went with to the protest. I didn't know that. So you learn something new every day. But say their names, guys. Say their names. And then this rose. I mean, it was so cool how they have the bottom piece here. It's like, I don't know if you guys can see this in water. It's so cool. But this rose is meant for all of the loved ones that have lost someone due to violence, someone due to police brutality or racial injustice. I was going to speak, but I always have so much on my mind that I need to be prepared for much more, like, write it out to make sure I know exactly what I want to say, when I want to say it, and how I want to say it, because I work truly a lot better that way. I mean, I could have just spoken off the bat, but I wanted to make sure that I hit every note and point. And so, but that's what I got you guys here for. But I will say I did promote my show at the protest. And this is another way for news anchors and media outlets to hear other Black people's voices. So although it was promoting my show and things I talk about, it was also promoting the things that I talk about as far as racial injustice and Black Lives Matter and Black Panthers and things of that nature, because I have talked quite a bit about the racial injustice. But yeah, God bless to all the loved ones. Cheers to you all. Oh, that's so good. Something with some kind of strawberry lemonade in there. Lemon stuff in there. Not lemonade, lemon stuff. That's what I meant. But it's good. It's strawberry stuff. I'm telling y'all need to get your drinks. Get your drinks on. Because when I tell you to get a drink, get your drinks. Alizé, if I can show you right now, I have bought liquor all on, they're empty bottles, but over the course of the the type of alcohols that I would drink. So, yeah. But I hope you guys have had a wonderful, safe Saturday. As you guys know, today is National Rape Day. And I mean that with sarcasm. Like, yay, it's supposed to be something we're supposed to be celebrating. Really? No, it isn't. Now, I will tell you guys, tomorrow's episode may kind of sound a little backtracked because I filmed the episode months in advance. Yesterday's episode and tonight's episode is strictly filmed this week. So it's a little off hand in hand, but I always plan to do like a segue. But like I told you guys, this was like the perfect opportunity because of today. But make sure you guys are staying safe, staying well out there. Cover your men and women and the children, because these predators are out here and they are coming for you. They're gunning for your families. Yesterday we talked about children, sexual assaults against children. Tomorrow I will be talking about both sides of the fence, sort of how it feels to be a predator, as well as how it feels to be a victim, but then also like forgiving in that aspect, and also kind of shining light on the fact that men can also be raped as well. So that's tomorrow, but tonight I really want to just talk about, because I kind of hit on it, but I didn't in this, and this would be the psychological trauma of being a child, whether it's a boy or girl, or an adult that's man or woman that has been sexually assaulted, whether in prison or in their own homes or in the workplace or in schools or in police stations or at their businesses or on the streets, homelessness, Because let's not forget that a lot of this stuff happens also on the homelessness. You know, drug deals gone bad, murders, whole crazy enchilada. You know, there was one, and I'm not sure if you guys heard of this documentary, but it's called Unseen, and it's about this guy. I believe, if I'm not correct, in like Charlottesville. Is it Charlottesville, Kentucky? No, I don't think Charlottesville, Kentucky is. Well, it was something of the sorts. And it was a guy that was literally raping women out of his house and killing them. And he had killed over like 10 different women and stuff like that. It was like crazy. And they were all black women, beautiful black women that got caught to drugs, and he took advantage of that. Like, he'll lure them in, give them drugs, but then don't allow them to leave, and then he'll murder them and then like place them into like their basement floors. Matter of fact, let me go and pull it up right now. And none of this, I don't even think, ever got national news. Oh yeah, it was in Cleveland, Ohio. That's right, Cleveland, Ohio. They discovered 11 women on Anthony Sowell's property, and even more, like when they like dug into his past, he killed a whole bunch of women. And it's funny because when I look at this hasn't even hit national media. You know, I watched it on Tubi or Tubi, however you pronounce that, but it hasn't even made national news. You know, and some of the victims were, let me say their names. Tanya Carmichael, Nancy Cobbs, Tanisha Culver, Crystal Dossier, Talisa Fortson, Amilda Hunter, LaShonda Lang. It's just blocked by this thing, so I can't see them. Oh, here we go. Wait, is this the thing? Yeah, Shonda Long. And then you have Michelle Mason, Kim Yvette Smith, Janice Webb, and Diane Turner. There's too many women, y'all. Too many, and they were all black women. And like I told you guys, a lot of times, and these women were on drugs, but they didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve rape, the murder, the torture leading up to their death. None of that, you know. And like I told you guys, don't get me wrong, rape happens in all ethnicities. This episode is not about trying to make it out that black women are the ones that are more than everybody else and fuck everybody else because if they get raped or whatever. That's not what this is about. This is just shining light on everything, but really shining light on the fact that in our own community as black people, the fathers, the husbands, the sociopaths, the narcissists, the uncles, the brothers, the stepbrothers, the step uncles by marriage, they like it's and I kind of hinted on this yesterday, but a lot of rape victims happen in families. You know, and the psychological trauma, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna sit here and like try to give you guys my definition on some of the things, you know, or try to tell you guys that or try to be like, oh, this is what it is, or try to prescribe you guys to take this type of medicine. I'm not here to do that. Let me be clear on that. I'm not here to do that. I'm just shining light on my personal perspective of what I've seen and what I've gone through and understand, to be clear about the psychological PTSD, the trauma. Because PTSD is PTSD no matter if you were in the war, no matter if you were raped, you've seen murder, you've seen your parents get murdered, you experience some type of infliction upon police brutality, whatever that is. It's strictly PTSD all the way. And I ain't gonna lie, it feels so weird to do these episodes, these like yesterday and today, because I was looking back at yesterday's episode and I was like, I barely cussed during that entire damn thing. And y'all know I'm a cusser, so but it feels so weird. But I think I'm like more passionate about it now. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm passionate about everything I've done talked about. But this is the type of stuff I really want to talk about because this is the stuff that gets overlooked on a day-to-day basis. Oh, it's fine. It happens, whatever. What did she do? What did she do to cause him to, come on to her or whatever like that? Oh, well, she was saying no. She wasn't saying no, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So this episode is really strictly on hindsighting the and women make up 51%. 51% of the population. And from the statistics I read to you guys, 1 in 4, I think the statistics, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday I said 1 in 4 women are raped, while 1 in 5 women are raped, while 1 in 20 men are raped, sexually assaulted. Even though those statistics from what I read yesterday may not be correct of what I'm saying now, it's still greater for a woman to be sexually assaulted than a man, because they go by that whole mentality that God made Eve for Adam from Adam's rib, and so it is what it is. No, that's not how it rolls. And if you look at the Old Testament and New Testament of whatever it is that you're reading, there are a lot of changes from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Like in the Old Testament, God used to be a vengeful God. He used to be a vengeful God, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm saying it right. But he used to be a vengeful God. And in the New Testament, he's more of a forgiving God, or more of a loving God. Not saying he wasn't in the beginning with, but like the rain 40 days and 40 nights, that happened in the Old Testament. He did, because he was and he started to understand that we make mistakes, So you can't always rely on the religion thing, or even just the spiritual thing or the scientific thing. There's always contradictions to every little thing. Now, I'm not saying God backpedaled. I'm never saying that. I'm not saying that. So if that's your interpretation of Abir, you're saying that God contradicts himself. I never said that. I said that there are contradictions if you look at it from a human perspective between the two. But God changed his ways, not because he was wrong, but because he saw that what he created was perfect. Human forms, perfect. But we are 100% imperfect. Hint, why Jesus died on the cross to save our sins. You see, I flipped that all around for my good. But no, seriously though, guys. When it comes to, and I'm sorry, y'all, forgive me. I feel like I'm sweating up here, probably because I also have on this long sleeve. But it's a little hot in here. I have my fan on, but Lord Jesus. I usually cool down this place before I get on camera, but having all these cameras in the backlight and everything, okay. And then I feel like I'll be looking a little shiny in the screen, so. But anywho, I look all right, y'all. Don't worry about. I feel like I'll be looking oily in my face, so but don't worry about that. Don't worry about all that. Okay. But anywho, the psychological warfare, and I say warfare because it's a war. When you go through psychological trauma, when you go through PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you are literally fighting an everyday battle with yourself, of yourself, by yourself. And that's it. And you're in your head 24 hours a day. It's like clockwork, except for you ain't punching out. And then on top of that, you take it everywhere with you, and it starts to take a physical toll on your body. When your body is stressed, it becomes stressed, and it sends alarms off in your head like, hey, we're not doing good, but you don't fully sit down and acknowledge it to then try to make advancements to get better. So then your body starts to take a toll, because it's like, hey, you're not doing nothing. We're suffering. We're suffering here, and the only thing we can do is shut down. I'm sorry, y'all. This is so good. When you get a good drink, when you get a good ass drink, you just can't stop sipping. Telling you, it's good. But anywho, children, on the aspect for children, or even anyone that gets sexually assaulted at a certain age where their adolescence hasn't kicked in yet. And like I said, when they don't know that it's wrong, or that, over time, it's like a movie that plays back in a child's head, or in a woman's head, or even a man's head, about what has happened. They become ashamed. because it's happened to them. And they look at, well, then what did I do? What did I do to cause that person to do that? Instead of looking at it for as is that person may be sick, or that person may have gone through the same thing you're going through, but the way that they look at it, sorry, here, something was, here. They may have been a victim themselves, and they don't look the way they grew up. Their mind knows that is wrong, but then their mind doesn't know that it's wrong, because nobody's actually actively sat down there and talked to them, walked them through the process of what happened and why is it wrong, and how to fix it, how to treat it. So then they go and then they get married, or they go and be involved with another family, or go find kids or women or men, or all three, or all one or the other, or whatever. And then they cause trauma upon those people, or that person, if it's just one, you know. PTSD and psychological warfare can be a bitch. It can be a totally, utterly, complete bitch. And it's not just a fight where it's 12 rounds in the ring, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, Muhammad Ali shit. It's not that. It's not that. It's a constant, everyday struggle to fight with yourself, because you're trying to not only suppress your memory of not just that, but all trauma. Because when you see someone that has PTSD, it's not just that one thing that that is that one thing that caused it. But when you start to see them have other issues, it's like a gravitational magnetic pull. And then when you have PTSD, it just multiplies every situation that you ever step into times 10. I could tell you stories for days that my mom has told me about my grandfather with his PTSD, and the crazy things that just would send him off the deep end about the littlest things. But because he hasn't dealt with the psychological warfare and trauma that he experienced from the war. Same thing goes for the sexual assaults. You have not actively spoke out all of the details that happened to you. Not just what specifically happened to you, but how you felt about it, what you looked at while it happened, what they said while it happened, their breath, their tone, their mentality while it happened. All of that comes into play. And a lot of times when a person starts to want to go to therapy and they have to relive it, and you see them getting shaky and trembling, and if it looks like they may end up having a heart attack, it's because their body is overloaded because they have not dealt with it. And you gotta hammer it through them to allow them to feel all that, feel the rush of the emotions, and feel like your body is trying to attack itself, or somebody else is trying to attack you, so you can be able to get to the point where it's not this anymore and it's just this. And then you can talk about it without shedding a tear. Or if you do shed a tear, it'll be just one or two, but you move on. You cruise and you coast. It can be a bitch, y'all. Now, I never had psychological warfare or trauma, anything like that. But I will tell you guys this. For me, I looked at it as, well, you know what? I was young. I was innocent. I was only 5 or 6. What can 5 or 6-year-olds do? And left it at that. And some people are literally like that. And then you look at me and you're probably thinking it's scary, like, well, you lying. You ain't dealt with it. Truly, I don't even focus on it. It's not even impeding on my everyday life. I laugh, I praise God, I thank God I'm here, I cook, I clean, I handle my company, my business, this show. I'm cool, and it sucks that the only reason why I'm able to talk about the PTSD and the psychological warfare is because I see it in other people. I watch how other people I watch how other people go through it. I watch how other people go through the psychological warfare in them, and they're fighting an internal, everyday, constant battle with themselves. And that's why some of them commit suicides. Is because it's like paranoid schizophrenia. It's like noises in your head, and little do you know, it's just you yelling in your head. That's all it is, That's why I say check in with your kids. Talk to them. Make sure you're paying attention to people you're bringing into your households. You know, and not just say, oh, she's just being fast. I told you not to put that dress on. Now you out here acting all fast and stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with being fast. You should be able to wear whatever you want without anybody hawking, scoping, jocking, watching, and scrutinizing you, making you feel less than. If you guys ever, one thing I want you guys, and you guys probably already know this, but I love Jill Scott. And there's a poem called Thickness. Search it up and listen to the entire song. People are not elevated enough, but women are not elevated enough, and women are the most vulnerable up to children. I'm telling you, I gave you guys the tiers. It's children, women, men. Because of the innocence of the fact. You know? Listen to your children. It affects their everyday movement, everyday life. And you do not want that for you. Do not be in denial. I get it and I'm not a parent, but I will say this, I get it. Coming from hearing your child tell you they raped or they got touched inappropriately or whatever it is, or told them to go to the bathroom and then they came out crying or whatever like that. And it's hard. You don't want to believe your child because you don't want to believe your child will go through that trauma. But believe it. Acknowledge it. Own it. Fess up to it. Grab it by the balls. Grab it by the belly. Grab the belly of the beast and hold on to it and pull it out. Let all of that emotion run all over you. And when you get done crying, it's done. Do what you got to do. Get the justice. Make sure they are handled appropriately and move on with your life. And make sure your kids, or even if it's you as an adult, get yourself some psychological help, some counseling, emotionally, physically, spiritually, soulfully, you know, and that's all different. Those are different things. Make sure you are actively checking in with yourself, going into the mirror and saying, how are you doing today? Rate yourself. Is it a 1 or a 10? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. You know, you've got to train your mind to be able to handle, and sadly, as humans, we've had to do this. We have to train our minds to basically be able to handle combat, whether that's murder, rape, robberies, physically, emotionally, or mental abuse by a loved one or anyone, homelessness, literally wars, you know, crazy. And it's sad. We shouldn't have to. If anything, and I like how when I was at the protest, one of the father of Andrew, he said, we don't even need black laws. We don't even need people laws now. We need animal laws, because animals get treated better than black people. Animals you can put, he said, I don't know what animal you could put your knee on their neck for 9 minutes and not be scrutinized, vilified, and charged with crime, with you know, some type of they charge you with something, charge you with a crime. You know what I'm saying? And that's true, sadly. And it applies in this situation too. Not to deter from the Black Lives Matter, because I don't want to do that. I hate to do that. But to think about it, just think about it from that perspective, it applies here too. It really does. It really does. You know? Sexual assault is not something you play around with. It's a dangerous game. And a lot of times, the people that are doing the hurting, even if it's their first time, it's not just because nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to rape today, or I'm going to be a predator today, or whatever the case may be. It's a grooming process over time of how their father treats women or their mother treats men, how they treat their communities, how they see society as a whole. You know, it's all of us and together. You know, we aren't the reason for predators, but then we are. And if you want to yell at me and say, Javier, how can you just say that? How can you say that? They make those decisions on their own. Yes, they do. But as a world, we have to be accountable for the crime, the warfare, the genocide that goes on a daily basis in this world, no matter what ethnicity we are. We have to be responsible. We have to be accountable. We have to be understanding. We have to think. We have to breathe and act accordingly. You know? And I think... Ooh, oh, the rose fell. I think that for... you know, sexual assault victims, they're going through a lot, you know. It's a never-ending cycle, especially if you end up having, and like I told you guys yesterday about the parents, the women that were child brides, married off to their rapists, and then forced to be married to them, cook and clean for them, see them on a daily basis, get raped in their home by them, forced to have their children, bear their children. It's basically the modern day slavery all over again. And no law has been produced to denounce or defund or as I call it, defunct this. You know? It's crazy. And we gotta do better. It's not a good, pretty sight for us, y'all. It's not, you know. And for children, they can't articulate. They can't. Because they think if it was like a family member, take for example a family member that did this to them, they think it's fine. They think it's fine. Totally fine for them to be touched like that. Because it's family. You know, you don't think your loved ones are going to hurt you. You know? They don't think it. They don't think it. And just like I'll explain on tomorrow's episode, two things on tomorrow's episode to be prepared for is the forgiveness of rapists. You got to allow them to rejoin society. Yes, put them on the registry list, but don't go harassing them at their front doors. They still have freedom to live their lives, especially if they're remorseful. And not a lot are, but the very few. There are some people out there that, and some of them literally weren't they didn't commit a crime, but in the eyes of the law, they did. Some states have it where it's like I call it the 5 grace period, where you can be over the age 18 as long as you're not 5 years older than the minor. So, for example, if you have a 17-year-old, you can 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. After the 22-year-old mark, you could be charged with a rape crime. You know, some people didn't know they had sex with an underage girl, and then they were set up, or someone found out, and they didn't realize it, and they're still charged with the crime. You know, it's a dangerous territorial water. You know. And on tomorrow's episode, all about forgiving, and I think I already mentioned that, but forgiving and seeing the other side of what it means to be a predator. You know, what they go through. They're still humans at the end of the day, although they committed something that's worse than what animals would do. Because I really don't think that animals commit, you know, sexual assault upon other animals. You know. They don't know what that is, you know. It's like the cycle of ecosystems, you know. But it's all about talking to you. Talk to your children. Talk to your women. Talk to your men. Making sure they're so secure. We always are joking about, people joked about the R. Kelly this or the Harvey Weinstein this or Bill Cosby in their comedy shows. And yes, I ain't gonna lie, I laughed at that shit too because I thought it was funny. Not the incidents, but the comedies. Like when Dave Chappelle made comedy jokes and shit, and then you had other comedians doing it too. I was laughing. It was funny. But at this point, it's okay to treat that moment as funny. But after that, we got to get back to business. We got to talk to people. We got to educate our kids. Ease it on them at one time. Let them know if there's anything, if anybody touches you here, let me know. Those type of conversations. Making sure your kids feel loved, heard. And not only get them a counselor, get you a counselor, because then you can potentially end up going through PTSD or depression because you feel like you allowed this for your child to happen, or you left them in like good hands with a babysitter, and they abused that trust. So don't just get counseling for the victim, but get counseling for you as the family, as the parents or guardians or spouses, whatever it is. Because it affects you too. Not as much as them, but it does affect you on a whole nother deeper level that they will never understand. Because they'll look at it as you're being selfish, or how could you think about you when it's all about me, and what happened to me, and what happened to this, and what happened da. When that ain't really the damn case. It's really more about you making sure you're solid and all right, so you can still lift up your spouse, because they're gonna go through waves of emotions. They're gonna go through anger, sadness, hurt, blame, depression, and you do not want all of those waves to come in at one time. You gotta pray for waves, singular waves at one time, because if all of those waves come in, they will take your breath away. It will take your breath away, and you do not want that to happen. PTSD is not just making sure your emotions are in check, but making sure your mental, the things that are up here making you work, think, are working well. And with sexual assault, it digs deep into you, because it's someone violated not just your body, but your inside of your body, your spirit, your soul. They literally came into attack mode against you and your soul. And little do you know, they don't win it. They don't win the attack, but they make you feel like they did. And then they try to make it look like they have power over people. There's that mental shit that goes on. Because if they can walk in the room and they change your whole entire emotion, your whole entire spirit, your whole entire atmosphere, your mood, that is someone that will then have power over you. And you do not want to give them that power. You do not. That's them messing with your mental. They want to put a mental blockade in your head, so that way nothing cycles through like a circuit, like a wild circuit, and it just stops, and it's trying to get through, but it can't. And it's so much buildup happening on the circuit that it then overpowers itself and overloads. And then instead of it just pushing through, and then now we're free again, because you haven't gotten the help, you haven't gotten the counseling, you haven't talked to anyone, you haven't talked to other victims about what they've experienced and what they're going through to try to get something resolvement. You then turn to drugs, you turn to alcohol, you turn to prostitution or stripping. And I'm not saying that's all the ways to get to prostitution or stripping. I'm just giving examples. You turn to being involved with the same similar type of men that was like your rapist, and they rape you too, or they abuse you too, or all that and then some, introduce you to drugs or other men or other women, and then you're in prison. It's a very slippery slope from being sexually assaulted at a young age, and then now you're in your 30s and 40s, but you're in prison for life because you murdered somebody because they put their hands on you and you couldn't control your emotions. But little do you know, deep down inside, now you're going to counseling, going to Bible study in the prison. You're doing everything you can to get right with God. Get right with God. And then you start to get to the core, which is that one night, that one day, wherever it happened, that they abused you. They abused your soul, your innerness, who you are, the foundation of you. They came attack against it. It's kind of like when a torpedo or a rocket comes underneath water to a submarine and knocks it out, and then now you see the submarine twirling, and now it's going down deeper and about to crash right into something. But then they fight tooth and nail to get it back on track, and they finally do. You want to be like that. And you come back like a wrecking crew, where you come back up as a submarine and you go after that person that attacked you. And you attack them with getting justice, getting forgiveness, getting understanding. You want to be like that with your mind, mentally, physically, emotionally. Be that submarine that doesn't hit rock bottom. Or the Titanic that hits the iceberg and you are slowly sinking. And then we're watching you like a collision before it even happens. And the first part of you sinks, and there's still that one part of you, and then finally you then slowly but surely go down under. You do not want to be that, because that's an ugly, ugly road to go down. Ugly road. And then it becomes it's either a life or death situation at that point. And most times, even when you try to choose life, it's too late. So death is knocking already at your door. It ain't even knocking at this point. It's about to take the door off the hinges and welcome you. You do not want that for your kids. You do not want that for your mothers, your fathers, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your wives, your husbands, your aunties, uncles, whatever it is. You do not want that. And for all the men out there that get sexually assaulted, it don't make you less of a man. It don't make you a bitch. It don't make you nothing but human and something you've gone through. And you're still a man. Whether you were sexually assaulted by a woman or a man, you're still a man. You're still you as a human being. Don't make them let you feel like you're less of your gender or who you are as a human being based on the fact that they violated you because you thought, well, this may only happen to gay people or whoever. Don't let that hit you. Don't let that hit you that hard. You're still going to be a man. You still are you that just happened to be sexually assaulted. Deal with it. Don't lick your wounds. Celebrate them. Celebrate them. It's gonna take time, y'all. I know I'm telling y'all all this and y'all probably looking at me like, oh wow, he's giving me insightful information, or just saying like, wow, it's easier said than done. I'm not telling you this, then it's going to magically let all of the problems and everything from your sexual, like being victimized like this, go away. It's not. It's a long, it's a long, 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 long road. But the longest journey begins with a single step. And I'm sure y'all heard that saying many times over. Many times over. Many times over. I think that they need to create laws where you can report a rape at any point in time and juncture as long as you got the evidence to prove that they did it. Just like they do murder, you can reopen a case at any time. I think that they need to be able to prosecute parents for child brides marrying their children, boy or girl, mainly girls, off to their rape victims or just to older people in general. I think that they need to create harsher rape laws where they go through not just the predators but victims, but when it comes to sentencing predators, looking at whatever may caused it, because a lot of times you just like, oh, they're just a vile, vicious person, but maybe they have mental illness and they don't know what right from wrong is. There are literally mental illnesses or tumors, brain tumors, or anything that could impede on you knowing what's right and what's wrong is wrong, and getting the help you need, getting the help you deserve. And like I said, not me giving you these type of examples is not me saying, well, Javier, you're condoning it. No, I'm not. I'm saying that there is scientifically proven there are brain tumors, there are Alzheimer's, there's what's the word I'm looking for? Colloquial. There's a vast number of reasons for someone doing bad, but we never look at that. We just look at it as, oh, they're a predator, they're an animal. That's it. Lock them up, throw away the key. But we're still humans in God's eyes. We all make mistakes, and no sin is worse than any other in God's eyes. A rapist has the same weight of sin as a murderer in God's eyes, and we need to look at it just like that. In our eyes as humans, we look at it as, well, a robbery and a murder. No, this one is a little more heavier. But in God's eyes, a sin is a sin. A sin is a sin. That's what makes him so impartial and so great. You gotta look at it like that, And for all my rapists out there, I'm praying for you just like I'm praying for the victims. More so for the victims than you, but I'm praying you get the help you need. And there are some rapists that become really rehabilitated, really do. It's not just, you go to a RA, which is like Rapist Anonymous meetings, and then, you're magically cured, you talked it out. No, it's really going through tests, going through studies, going through your background of your life, going through this, what caused you this, what can you do to not impede on going back and doing the same thing again to the next person, And we need to be able to welcome them back into open society and open arms as we do racist white people or anybody, murderers, anybody. We have to do that. That's the only way that the world can get better. Because then it's the prison system, which is another episode to talk about, is where you just basically go into the prison system, and they call it a correctional facility, where they're supposed to get you corrected, get you better back into, and then be able to transition you back into society. No, they just let you come out and then wait for you to drop a dime again, and then they're gonna put you back in jail again. And the weight of it is from in poverty, the crime, nothing, like not good jobs, not good pay, anything like that. The same thing goes for a rapist. If a rapist gets out, and then obviously, rightfully so, they can't be around schools or students or whatever like that. But now you have people egging their houses, breaking into the houses, beating the rapist's ass and stuff like that. Yes, they do deserve that. But the time would have been to do that before. Now they are rehabilitated, and they have a right. They have a right to rejoin society after they've paid off their debts. Just like a murderer, just like anybody, whatever, somebody that robbed somebody that sell dope, whatever it is. They should be allowed to just join society. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be having a parole officer and a cop car on them, but don't hound them. Allow them to fix their mistakes. And the best way for someone to fix their mistakes or right their wrongs is by allowing them to see them get better. Watching them perish. Watching them grow from what they did. Now, doesn't mean, now that they've proved that they're better and everything like that and they're doing good, let's just walk away from them, because you never know that a lot of people, they do that. They're like, I'm doing good. They're going to go up and they're going to act like they're doing good. They're going to show you, but then behind closed doors, they're still doing the same old shit. But allow people to make mistakes and fix those mistakes. And I understand being sexually assaulted is not just a mistake. It's not. And that's not what I'm saying. A mistake is you asked for a large fry at McDonald's, but then they gave you a medium fry. That's a mistake. Being raped is not a mistake. It's not. It's not. I will tell you this though. For parents, and I noticed this in this new generation for parents, a lot of parents, hold on one second. Okay, sorry. A lot of parents, I noticed this like back then, and maybe I'm just not noticing as I probably was back then, but a lot of parents are growing their children up a lot more. Allowing them to wear certain, like I see these toddlers and like preteens, dressing as if they're full grown adults, and they get sexualized on social media, and you never know who's watching behind that screen. So parents, do not exploit your children, because those same people that love the exploitation will really exploit your child. They will exploit them to the fullest extent. So watch out. Don't enter your child into a world that they don't understand yet, or shouldn't, that is not the most welcoming out of the bunch, because it ain't church. And even church, a lot of times you ain't even hardly welcome there, depending on who you are. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Make sure you are paying attention. Talk to your children, talk to your wife, talk to your mother. I've talked to my grandmothers, I've talked to my moms. I listen, I'll be on the phone with them for 3 hours just learning about their life experiences, because A lot of the times, the same things your parents went through, you may go through. And they can give you some hindsight. This is the only country where we really don't throw old people away. They're not treated fairly, but we're the country that we don't really forget about them. Take this time to learn from them, get wisdom from them, and apply it to your children's lives, to your lives. And when it comes to sexual assault, take it seriously. It's not something to be joking around with, not something to play around with, because if you do, it's going to end very badly. It's a long, hard road. And you do not want to be on a train that's going 1,000,000 miles an hour and you can't even jump off the plane. You cannot. You do not want to be part of that. Make sure you get your children counseling. Ain't nothing wrong with counseling. Hell, in the Bible, it talks about it. It talks about counseling. And don't go to your pastor. This is not these bishops, reverends, pastors, deacons, these are not the right people to go through for rape trauma. It's not. Just because they work at the church and they follow God's rule. And not everybody really follows God's rules and stuff, because we're all sinning and shit. But don't go to church. Don't go to them for that. Take your ass to a paid, trained, educated person that has went and got a degree for it and gonna talk about it. Just because you grew up in the church doesn't mean you got to go to see your pastor, because half the time the pastor knows everybody's business up in there and maybe even biased. You need to go to someone that's impartial. You need to go to someone that is getting paid to do this, has earned a degree behind it, has studied the human brain, because pastors, they ain't studied the human brain. They only teach about the soul. And the Bible does talk maybe about mental stuff, but they didn't train for that. They've been trained to save souls. These people have been trained to save your mind, so that way you can get to a place where then you can come in and save your soul. Because if you ain't got a mind, baby, because even your soul has a brain. It's like a car. Your engine turns on the car. The transmission transports you and is what keeps the car in operation to be able to go places and do things. And then you have your gas, which is the oxygen and stuff. Same thing goes for humans. Well, in this case, but yes, if you don't get your mind together for your soul, how can you how can you tell your soul, hey, take this in, and now let's turn it on. Let's turn on our soul. Let's be everything within our soul. You can't do that until you deal with your transmission. How can you pull your soul into drive if you can't pull it out of park because it's all messed up? The gears are all messed up. Can't pull it out. How can you turn on the car? How can you turn on your soul if your soul is all damaged up? It can't transport the gas. It can't transport the oxygen. It can't transport who you are through your soul without you dealing with it all intertwines together. One skilled in oxygen. You have to be able, and it sucks because you have to be one skilled in oxygen to decipher, to be able to untwine the interlocked, connected cables. And if you snip one wrong, the whole thing can fall apart. That's what PTSD is. That's what it is for sexual assault victims. That's what it is for predators. That's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. But I love you guys for watching this episode. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love Village. Make sure you guys stay safe during tonight. Make sure your loved ones get home safely. Text them, call them. Make sure they're in the house, the door is locked. The gates, like bars on the door, whatever. Make sure you got your bats, your gun, whatever you need. Now, I do condone gun violence if somebody enters your house, but you only need 9mm or a revolver. You don't need them shotguns. You don't need the damn freaking AR-15s and shit like that. You don't need that. Protect yourself. But I love you guys so much. You guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Avir Vassal. You can follow the show on The Analytical Eye Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, on Twitter, it's iAnalytical. And I love you guys so much. Stay safe and well. God bless you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for Sunday. Don't forget to check out the Light of the Sunday. And stay tuned for more, y'all. We got some good conversations to talk about. We got to continue. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep fighting. And we got to make sure these type of topics are not taboo to talk about. We have to talk about them no matter what. Show them to your kids. I try to make these episodes not less cussing and more taste-worthy to be able to present your kids with things. To allow them to watch this at a certain age and maybe even be like, hey, let's put this on. Because he kind of talked about it in a good way where we can understand it and give it to you. And then, you know what I'm saying? I tried to do this one a little bit more taste instead of a lot of cussing. But I added a little cuss words in there. You know, it wouldn't be me if without a couple of cuss words. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love and cheers.